Hey everybody, it's Vanessa Van Dyken, and you're listening to the Zen Disc Golf Podcast.
Hello and welcome back, disc golf friends and family, to Season 3, Episode 8 of the Zen Disc Golf Podcast. On this episode, I got a chance to sit down and talk to the first of many female professional athletes planned for the show, Vanessa Van Dyken. I love this episode. We talked a lot about the mental part of the game, preparation, practice, competition. It's all here. I do have a disc giveaway for this episode, an Infinite Discs alpaca with the Aztec bomber stamp. Look how cool this is. So all you have to do to win this disc is subscribe to the podcast on YouTube and leave a comment about anything Vanessa and I talk about, and the winner will be announced on February 23rd, 2021. Before I start the show, I just want to give a shout out to all you listeners. And in 8 episodes, once again, we've gained a worldwide audience with listeners not only in the US, but in Sweden, Canada, Norway, Guam, Germany, Australia, Finland, Belgium, Denmark, and more. So giant shout out to all you guys and girls around the globe. I just want to let you know that I see you all out there and you're downloading the show, and I appreciate you all so much. Now, on to a player who has won every amateur tournament that they ever entered, including the 2014 World Championships. She's toured around the world, including the touring in the US, Finland, and the Euro Pro Tour. Now she's a part of Discraft's Elite team. Ladies and gentlemen, Vanessa Van Dyken. Vanessa, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, I appreciate it. Like I told you earlier, the pleasure is all mine. So how is the snow in Holland? And I don't mean the Netherlands. I mean,
Right? Yeah. I know people get confused because my last name's Van Dyken and it says I live in Holland, so they're probably like, "What?" But yeah, it's we've had a lot of snowfall last few days, so it's pretty thick, and I can't really go throw outside when there's that deep of snow because there's no way I'm gonna like keep a track of all my discs. Like whenever I've tried to play in snow this deep when it's this cold and put tape and ribbon, as soon as you hit a tree and the adhesive or something on the tape will freeze, and so you'll lose the ribbon and the tape, and then your disc is just somewhere, probably somewhere, yeah, just gone. So I to a net. Actually, I had been looking to invest in a throwing net, not only for the off season, but also when I do lessons or clinics. It's really nice to have, because when you're trying to improve like a player's form, they're always kind of like paying attention to where the disc is going, and you really just want them to focus on the form first before they start thinking about that. And I've always wanted to get a net, so it kind of like takes that out of the equation.
Sure.
And
So like a baseball one or like a football one?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
not
like
one
a
that'll
baseball
spring
one.
back at them, but one that'll just kind of catch it.
Right? Like bad shot. No, I saw Juliana Korver using a bow net, and I was like, well, if it's good enough for like Juliana Korver, it's good enough for me. So
Right
yeah.
on. Yeah, I've been thinking about getting one of those nets for my garage with I guess they use it for football, but they have the like a square cut out, and then they have a net behind that. So if you hit anywhere around it, it's just kind of it might bounce off a little bit, but the other ones will catch, and so that'll give you the your little pocket, your little window, like it would be a basket. So yeah, I've been thinking about getting one of those for the garage because I don't like playing in the cold either. Putting in the cold is the worst.
Oh my God, I can't do it. I just like can't feel the release, and it's just terrible.
Yeah, I carry one of those electric hand warmers. Usually when it gets real cold, I'll shove it in my pocket, and in between shots, I'll warm my hand up. But it's a lot of times it doesn't make any difference.
I know. The winter golf is just, it's brutal. I don't know how people do it. My boyfriend goes out every single day still. Like he's a little diehard. I'm like, no, I'm just gonna stay inside in the warm and do my putting in the basement and my throwing there too, and the bow net.
You're all the way up in Michigan, and I'm down in Virginia. I'm not experiencing the cold like you are.
Oh yeah, it's pretty. I mean, at first it's fun because the snow is really pretty and it brightens everything up, but I'm pretty sick of it at this point. I'm ready for it to go away.
Yeah, I'm not particularly a fan. So once again, thanks for being on the show. I want to talk about some stuff. I want to first read you what Discraft posted about you within the past couple of weeks, because I think this is a really good intro as to who you are. Vanessa practices for tournaments at the same time as her tee time to make sure she's prepared for the conditions. That's a good segue to what we were just talking about. Is that true?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I do. So, especially I used to, um, I guess it was more meaningful when FPO we used to tee off at like 7 in the morning all the time. And typically during the practice days, players come out, like they sleep in and then they come out and play or whatever. But I would always wake up and start my round at the same time I'd be teeing off. So I'd get there at like 6 o'clock in the morning and then start my practice round at 7, and just so I could like be in the rhythm of waking up that early, and then my body is already like at 7 o'clock, it's already ready to go and it expects the round and everything. I don't know. That's just kind of like how I rationalized it and why I do that.
No, I love it. I love it. Got that whole Jocko 4:30 thing going on. Are you always a early riser?
I do rise early, but I never like it. I never get used to it. Like, uh, I don't know. It's still like every day I feel like it's a little hard when every time when the alarm goes off, that little voice in my head like realizes you can press snooze. And I
Mhm.
always, it's so weird. I always have that thought pop in my head, even though
It's
I'm still in a routine, or I'm in a
oh yeah.
routine of waking up, but I still like have these little bad voices in my head that's like, don't wake up and do it. Don't work. Don't practice, you know?
I think that's the voice in everybody's head all day long. You know,
Oh, yeah.
there's an easier way. You know, everything
Hmm.
you do, especially when you want to, be masterful at something, and you know that you got to do the hard stuff. There's always that voice that says it doesn't have to be this hard. You can go sit, you can go chill, you
Yeah.
can put on Netflix and just stay warm. It's no big deal. And
Yeah.
then you just get lost. So the next thing they said was Vanessa won every tournament she's entered as an amateur, including the 2014 Amateur World Championships. After her Am World win, she became a full-time touring professional. From 2015, 2018, she toured the Finnish Pro Tour, Euro Pro Tour, and some of the biggest events in the US. Wow, that's quite a resume they're putting up there.
Yeah. That was a lot of traveling I did. But I mean, so it was really interesting. When I first started playing, I would only play like a couple times a week, and then I got obsessed with it as I started to improve. And I'd never seen other women out playing. And one Saturday, me and my friends went to go play, and there was a tournament going on, so the course was closed. And I saw there were women playing and competing, and I was just so shocked because I hadn't seen women before that. And so I followed along and I watched them, and I was like, I can do that. I can throw farther than that. And I was like, I really want to sign up for a tournament. So I signed up for the next tournament, and in the amateur, like I think it's called like FA, what is it? It's just advanced women. I can't remember all the different names for the AM divisions, but I won that. And then I was like, okay, I want to see how I pair or like match up against other AM women. And so I signed up for the Memorial Championship in the AM women's division, and I won that one by like 17 strokes. And
Wow.
there were like a little less
17.
than 20 women. Yeah. And then I was like, okay, well, I want to sign up for like AM Worlds, and I didn't play the year before. So I guess the way it works is depending on your performance from the previous year, you will receive an invitation to sign up for AM Worlds the next year. And I hadn't played any events the previous year, so I played one at the end of the year, but I couldn't get an invite. So I got in, I signed up, and then I eventually got in off the wait list. And then I traveled out to Minnesota and played AM Worlds, and I won that too. And um, After that, I saw there was this player named Owen Scoggins, and she was ranked fourth in the world in the FPO division. And she had also just placed fourth at the World Championships. And she was coming to San Diego for A tier, and I had just won Am Worlds. And I was like, okay, I need to sign up for that tournament because I want to see how I pair against like the top pro women. And I played that event and I beat her by one stroke. And so after that, I was like, okay, well, I guess I should just go pro now. And I started touring full time. And yeah, my first event that I played as a pro was like big event, was the Memorial Championships. And I met another Finnish player and we got into a relationship, and I moved to Finland and I lived there for about 4 years. And we toured there full time and did the whole Euro tour and Finnish pro tour, and would come out to the States for all the big events like Worlds and USDGC and like a few in the beginning to kind of escape the winter there. But yeah, now I'm living back in the States, so it's much easier for me.
Yeah, and you moved to Holland.
Yeah, I did. I know, right? I just
From
can't get
Finland
away
to
from the
Holland. All right.
cold.
Right on. Well, what's really neat, I don't know if you know this, but you're the first female to actually be a guest on the show. You're one of the first I reached out
Nice.
to, but you're the first of hopefully many more females that will be on the show.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many great female players now. It's crazy.
And just getting more and more entertaining all around by the day to watch disc golf period, but to watch both men and women's disc golf, especially when you get to see it like on ESPN
Right?
and both sexes represented, just really cool stuff. It sounds like competition, listening to what you were just saying, it sounds like competition is a big time driver for you,
Yeah, I
your
mean,
competitive nature.
yeah, I so yeah, that's true. That's what kind of got me into this whole thing. But through all of my trials and tribulations, I learned that that was one of the things that was holding me back. I mean, I'm always competitive, but I feel like that drive kind of overshadows some things while I'm competing. Like, it makes me worry too much about the score or too worried about what others are doing, or I get stuck in the future or in the past because I'm worried like, oh, I just bogeyed that hole, I need to birdie. And it really it's difficult to stay in the present. And I've kind of like tried to push out like that competitiveness and all those things, and just try and really like be kind of just only focused on myself and my shot and allowing my body to execute and trying to like forget about everything else, because those things are there all the time. But in order for me to have a good performance, I can't be thinking of them while I'm performing.
Yeah, and I've always said that disc golf, as far as sports and athletics go, every athletic sport has a piece of flow that kind of comes with it.
Mhm.
Especially if you get so much joy from that sport. But mindfulness is definitely a component. There was a book written a couple years ago called Zen and the Art of Disc Golf. I don't know if you're familiar with that, by a guy named Patrick McCormick, and he wrote a lot about this whole mindfulness thing in disc golf. But yeah, I discovered the same thing too. You know, it's also the same thing in our lives. It's just hard to be in this moment,
Right.
not be worried about the past or what you did in the what you did in the past and how the future is going to look as a result. And disc golf on the disc golf course is such a microcosm of that. You can see that instantaneously, and how just letting each shot be its own is,
Yeah.
is the best way to be, and you're just going to be so much of a better player. It's really neat that to hear that just come organically from so many different people.
Yeah. I mean, and it's just a really incredible sport because it at a certain point, no matter the player, they're gonna have to delve into the mental aspect and really explore that and improve on that aspect of the game. And I feel like it's so fascinating because that aspect of the game translates to everything in your whole life. Like,
Exactly.
Yeah, and I just really love that part about it. It's really, I mean, disc golf has helped me, um, kind of like pursue my dreams and give me purpose and value and everything. But it's also really helped me in the all the other aspects of my life as far as like how I view things and deal with things when they happen. And I don't know, it's just such a wonderful thing. It's I can go on about it forever, but you get the point.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is the stuff that I love to talk about. Disc golf philosophy. I mean, that's my
Yeah.
shtick. And I think it's interesting that earlier on you were talking about, you would get too involved with the score, and it would be hard to just keep moving forward. I've also heard an interview with you where you were talking about jump putting and how you just said, "I'm not going to jump putt because people are there's too much in between with jump putting. You just don't even want to worry about being called on it." So you
Yeah, I
have a
mean,
lot going on in your head as well.
I think that's what bothers me the most other than myself is, if I'm conscious that somebody is trying to call me on something, like if they're questioning your jump putt or something, if I know that somebody is like monitoring me, my focus is aware of that, and it's really hard to bring it back to the shot. I've tried so hard, but I mean, that's why I'm just like, I just want to cut that out of the equation completely. And you really don't need it.
Right.
And I'm sure at some point it might even be taken away. So, I mean, might as well nip it in the butt now because there's so many players that are against it. And I just
Yeah.
feel like it just I mean, and if those players eventually get onto like the rules committee, I mean, boom, there it goes. So there's
Yeah.
already players getting into the PDGA committees already.
It's such a hard thing to judge. And I guess fortunately now we do have the video footage, but when you're out there on the course, you don't have time to roll it
Well,
back.
you're also not allowed to use it when you're making a call.
Oh, okay. I wasn't even aware of that.
Yeah, so that's why, I mean, it would be so helpful if you could just like film it and then be like, you did have a foot fault and here's like a video of it, but you're not allowed to use video evidence or photographs. So
Right
yeah.
on, right on. And it's funny because I wrote down that you told Altiworld in an interview last year, one of your goals was of the next season was to master the mental aspect. And you brought it up before I could even bring it up. Said controlling your thoughts and feelings and emotions and make smarter decisions when under competition stress. This is something that's on your mind,
Yeah, yeah.
obviously.
I definitely have not mastered it yet. It's so hard. I mean, it's hard because I'm so passionate about it and it's so important to me. So when you experience like an errant shot and you feel like you've failed, I know it's just one out of like 100 and something shots I'm going to do over the whole course of the tournament, but it's just really hard to I mean, sometimes it's okay and I can move forward and it's nothing. And then other times I have no idea why. I mean, it just really affects me. And I try and like lie to myself and be like, it's okay, next shot, stand, but for there, I don't, it's really hard to let go of things, even though I'm consciously trying to. I think it's just something that you have to keep on practicing and eventually you'll get stronger at it. So,
Sure. In a couple episodes, I was actually talking to Barsby about something very similar to this. And we were discussing how a lot of rec players, and that's what I consider myself a rec player, have a hard time conceptualizing that when you're throwing a shot as a professional, it's not a free shot. It's $100. It could be thousands of
yeah.
dollars on that shot. And so we're just looking on and we're just going, that's a shot. Why is that player, freaking out? Or why are they letting that tear them apart? And it's like, well, this is their job. That could be a food on the table, right?
I mean, there's so many things. I mean, it's like even one shot around, or like if you miss it, one short putt per round at the end of the event, that's about 4 shots. And that's like each one of those is about 10 rating points, an average. So that's like the difference between being like averaging 950 and 940 in an
Yeah.
event. And then, and especially when it comes around to contracts and everything, like the higher your rating, the better you can negotiate and everything. And it's just like very stressful,
So
very
much
stressful.
riding on those tires.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, all these things are going through your head because you know exactly how all of these things are going to be applied, like money, contracts, sponsorships, blah blah blah, and you're aware of it, and you're just like, shit, I just, threw it away for some, I don't know. It's a lot.
It is, it's super difficult. Have you come up with any kind of practices to try to tame your mindset on the course?
Yeah, so I've pretty much come to the what's the word I'm looking for? I've come to the realization that those things are never going to go away. I'm always going to have this like monkey brain that's like thinking weird, negative, whatever things, but I only need it to go away for like 3 to 5 seconds at a time. And so I have a pre-shot routine that's pretty specific. So I like go through. It's like a mental program almost. I like run that mental program before every shot, and it helps me get into the same mindset before every shot. And then so when I'm actually doing the shot, I'm not really. I'm not thinking. I'm just kind of like leave my mind alone, and then I watch and see if my body will execute what my intention was.
What is this the mind routine that you do? Or is it
So
affirmations? I mean, what is it?
So first thing I do is I just like line up for my shot, and I feel like the first part to like let my body know that I'm initiating the shot is I just take a deep breath and I line my body up, and then I just like do like a mental rehearsal where I see, like, I visualize what line I want to hit with what disc, and then I watch it, I like imagine it finish, and then I have a I don't know, like a trigger word. And I just like tell myself, like, I count to three and I go 1, 2, 3, and I say execute. And then at that exact point, I kind of like not blank, but I'm kind of like it's almost like you're watching a movie or something. I'm just experiencing the shot happening. And then yeah. And yeah, hopefully my mind and body are connected and the shot happens. And when it does happen exactly how you imagine, like there's no better feeling. It's just like so pure and surprising almost.
Right. So that's awesome and very interesting. We have the self-centering breath. And it's funny when somebody says, I just take a breath, everyone in the room, when they hear that, they go, am I breathing?
Right.
It's like you take over that autonomic nervous system. You're like, okay, let me take a breath too. It's funny because I have a 5-year-old, and he so when he starts getting real he's autistic. When he begins to like sort of melt, my wife will say, all right, we need to stop, let's take a breath, because I mean that really just that turns off that
Oh yeah.
monkey brain, like you said, because what it does is it brings it it um it brings in the frontal cortex. It says we can control this, and it turns on the parasympathetic nervous system. The feed or breed nervous system kind of gets you out of fight or flight, which I imagine when you're on the course doing $100,000, $1,000 putts, you're in fight or flight,
Oh
at least to
god.
some degree. So taking that breath kind of shuts that down and opens up that parasympathetic nervous system, and just kind of gives you just one breath can just calm you down.
Oh yeah. I mean, and there are times where, like, let's say I'm leading by like 3 or 4 strokes and it's the final round, and I'm just so nervous. And my monkey brain is like panicking, but I also have this other side that's like really confident, and I already have my game plan and I have my routine. And sometimes when I get into those things to try and calm that really like hectic part of my mind, I do I don't know if it is called box breathing, but I do this like breathing method where I'll just take a big inhale through my nose, like for 4 seconds, like one, 1000, 2, 1003, 1004. And then I pause at the top for 4 seconds. And then I exhale 4 seconds, and I hold it at the bottom 4 seconds. And I just keep on doing that. And it's really calming because it keeps me distracted.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, and it also like taking those deep breaths really like calms my muscles and my nerves and everything. So I don't know, you just like for all the different situations that arise on the course, I have these little like tools that I use to try and help me cope with what's going on. But yeah.
Yeah, I love box breathing. And yeah, typically box breathing is however many seconds in, hold for the same amount of seconds, and then and then release for the same amount of seconds, and then no breath for the exact same amount of seconds. So it's like, say,
Yeah.
6 seconds. You breathe in for 6 seconds, you hold for 6 seconds, you release for 6 seconds, and then you do not breathe for 6 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
yeah, and that's extremely helpful. As a matter of fact, I'm not wearing it, but the Apple Watch now has a great program on it that just does it, doesn't breathe for you, but it does
Yeah.
the whole vibrating thing, and then it just like hold, and then
Oh, okay.
it does the vibrating down, and then relax, and it gets you to breathe for about I think 4 times per minute, which it just, I mean, that just slows everything down, opens up that parasympathetic nervous system. Yeah, when I was just thinking, because when you said, yeah, I take a deep breath, both of us just went.
Right.
If I hear my wife in the other room telling Bryce to take a deep breath, I'm not even involved in the conversation. I go.
Yeah.
And and another thing, it's really cool. I just started reading this book. That's kind of why I was looking around, because I was trying to find the author for you. He just put this book out. It's called Breath by James
Mm.
Nestor. And it goes over a lot of the stuff that we're talking about, but it goes into a lot of the science of breathing. And I'm sure there's other books about it too, but I just wanted to throw that out there for anybody who is interested in more of these aspects of breathing. It's so
Yeah.
important, especially breathing through the nose. Like that's really what he talks about in the book. There's another gentleman, I don't know if you've heard of him, living in
Wim
Finland.
Hof.
Wim Hof, yes.
He's from Netherlands. I actually have bought his app, and I do breath work first thing every morning.
Awesome. How does
Yeah,
that work?
it's
Tell my listeners how that works.
okay.
Wim Hof is
So
awesome.
yeah, he is. And I love his accent and his voice. It's like really soothing to listen to
Breathe,
while you do.
MFA.
Yeah.
Breathe.
Yeah, yeah. But so basically, I mean, you can do as many rounds as you want. I only do, depending on the day, I'll do different rounds because it's kind of like, it's not hard to do, but at the same time it kind of is. So some days I'll be feeling lazy and I'll just do 3 rounds, and some days I'm feeling like real good and I'll do 6. But so what you do is you take about 40 breaths is 1 round. And so you take like a big breath in and you kind of fill your lungs from like the bottom and like feel it all the way to the top of your head. And then when you you breathe out like normally. It's not forced, but there's still like a little bit left in from the inhale. And so you do that 40 times. And then after 40, you exhale out, not all the way, but just to a comfortable degree. And you hold your breath. And it's so freaking crazy, but I'll hold my breath for like almost 3 minutes, like
Wow.
around. Yeah,
That's when he
it's
says
crazy.
you need to get down and do those push-ups too.
At the very end, so um after I do all my rounds, instead of laying there and holding my breath, I hold my breath and then I do the push-ups.
Oh,
So
nice.
and it's so weird because like you don't have any muscle fatigue or pain or anything, like, and you're holding your breath the whole time and you can do like 20 push-ups just there. And it's, I guess it's because they're so oxygenated, like it's very easy.
Yeah, all
And
your
then
cells.
afterwards I do like my hand in like cold water, because like I don't know, I want to work up to do like the whole ice bath, but yeah, we don't, I feel like all the bathtubs that like the standard bathtubs that come into the house or that come with your home, they're not like deep enough to like submerge yourself from like the neck down. So I'm
Right.
like, okay, I would like make this horrible ice bath and I would just like have to have my legs or my torso out. It would just, I don't know.
Have you seen people doing it in the 50-gallon garbage cans?
I have seen it online. I'm
Yeah.
like, the only thing that worries me, because I do my hand, and because you do like hand and face and whatever. He has like all these things on his app that you can do for cold exposure.
Right.
But yeah, I would just worry if I got into one of those trash cans. I don't even know if I could get out because I wouldn't be able to feel anything. I'd just feel like, I don't know, I'd have to like jump out.
Oh yeah, you got to have a partner, definitely.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially when you're trying the whole hyperventilation thing. I was always scared because I used to do it before I'd go to work, and I would give myself ample time just in case I passed out, that I would wake
Oh
up
yeah.
again and be able to get in the car and head to work. That's so cool. So the breathing, that really helps you out there on the course. And that's something I've written about a bunch of times. So I'm glad you brought that up. And then the visualizing. So you visualize
Mhm.
your shot when leaving your hand and going where it needs to go.
Yeah, so I mean, whenever I tell people this, because I do a lot in the summer, I do a lot of private lessons and clinics and stuff, and I'll try and use like as many different words to describe the same thing as I can think of, because everybody has like a different there's like a certain combination of words where like certain people will connect with it and certain
Mhm.
people won't. So instead of saying visualize, I'll say like imagine, like do a mental rehearsal, do I'll just like say it in a bunch of different ways, and I feel like some people will connect with, like, I don't know, it's hard to explain. I mean, I've had my own coach, John Kirkland, really taught me a lot when I first started playing, and there were a lot of things that he taught me, and that were important that I just didn't understand, and then I heard it from someone else, but it was just said differently and I understood it, so I just remember that.
Yeah. And what you're describing, I think was really, are you familiar with Jim Rohn?
No.
Rohn, Jim Rohn. He's kind of a motivational speaker, but
Okay.
he called it kind of like a padlock effect. So basically, or maybe make it maybe like a lock on a safe. But if you just imagine the way those things work is the gears have to align. And so one person is telling you this and it doesn't really make sense. And then the other person comes and tells you that and it really doesn't make sense. But and another person comes and tells you that, everything just starts to line up.
Yeah.
And then eventually it's not because one person told you visualization and then one person said you've got to watch the movie in your head or whatever, but it may take two or three people, it may take a day, a week, a month, but all those things begin to align so that it just works for you. So that's the way he described it. And then it unlocks.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. So speaking of putting your hand in water, I understand you had some hand problems and you had some
Oh
surgery.
gosh, I did. So, what was it? It was my first year on Discraft. So that wasn't last year, but the year before. Um, I was just playing so much every weekend as you do on tour, and I had kind of overdone it during a what was it? At Ledgestone there was this it was I forget what it's called. It was like an exhibition match that we did, and it was like me, Greg Barsby, Simon Lizotte, and Paige Shue. And there was like a raffle, and people could buy tickets, and then we would randomly on every hole we would select a partner to play with us, and like everyone's doing all these crazy shots and like trying to throw like as far as we can over water, like just to make a show. And I kind of like overdid it, and I pulled the or I kind of like damaged the tendon in my ring finger, and like that this was the day before Ledgestone was starting. They did that exhibition match, and my finger was kind of sore, and I was like, oh, I just like, because I did a practice round, and then I did that exhibition, and then I started the tournament, and I was supposed to be on the feature card too, so I was like, I really can't like call out, and I feel bad because I always feel bad, like my logo should be on camera for Discraft and everything. So I played through the event, and it just like got worse, and I didn't take any time off, and I kept playing events because I felt pressure, like I need to make money, I need to make it to the next event, I need to do all the stuff. I've already been paid to play all these events, and I can't really pull out because then I'd have to like give up my money back. And
Mm.
yeah, so it just started out as something really small and developed into something really bad, to the point where I woke up one morning, I was like sleeping, and then when I went to open my hand, my ring finger was stuck down, and I
Wow.
was like, it freaked me out, and it was like really painful, and it finally like snapped open. And turns out I had this condition, or have this condition called trigger finger, and it's basically like I had some like micro tears in the ligament, and then just like continuing to use it and use it, it like developed like a nodule on the tendon, and so it wouldn't go in and out of the tendon sheath anymore. So I had to have surgery. Well, I was supposed to have surgery last year, like right before COVID. Discraft flew me out to the memorial to do some promo videos, and I missed my flight on the way back, and I was supposed to have surgery the next day. and my surgery got canceled, and then I had to reschedule, and then the COVID thing happened, and they said they couldn't do non-essential surgeries. So
Yeah.
basically we had to push it all the way until like this off season because yeah, I had to go on tour. So I just got like cortisone shot and had that carry me through the tour, but it really fucked up my, or sorry, it really
That's
like
okay.
messed with my practice schedule because I couldn't throw, I could only putt. So it was really, really rough last couple years with this whole injury. And I just got the surgery the end of December. So I just started practicing again like a couple weeks ago with putting, and then I'm going to start practice driving this week. But I mean, yeah, just from feeling pressure to play in, like I feel like there's so much pressure to play events even when you're kind of injured. And yeah, that's basically what, yeah, caused me so
Wow.
much trouble.
I bet.
And
I
I'm,
bet.
yeah.
What was the surgery that they did?
So basically they just like made a incision. It's like almost an inch long. They made an incision in the palm of my hand right here, and they just like cut open the tube that the tendon goes through. And I guess they just cut it open and leave it open and sew it back up, and eventually it grows back, but it grows back looser. So
Oh,
the nodule doesn't get stuck anymore, but it's still there.
wow.
So they
Wow.
don't like cure it, but
Yeah, because I have something. It may be similar, it may not be similar, but it's called plantar fibroma. It's actually in my foot, and they don't know exactly where it comes from. But one of the theories is getting your feet jacked up, just like your hand, like overuse and
yeah.
tears. And so you get like a fibro. Well, it's a fibroma. It's a nodule in the
Yeah.
middle of your foot. Now, my toe doesn't do like that, but it's not comfortable to walk on. And basically, what they say, there's nothing they can really do other than chop it out. And when they chop it out, there's always a risk that when they grow back together, it's just another fibroma or another nodule down
Oh
there. So I was
God.
wondering about that with your hand.
No, there's no, they said that the success rate of the surgery is like 98%. And the people who usually like get it back, like the nodule will get bigger, are people who have like diabetes or really bad arthritis or something like that. Because I guess people with diabetes have trouble healing, and then
Right.
people with arthritis, or I don't know
Especially
what.
in their extremities. Like the further that you get from the core, the harder it is for the body to repair. Did you have to do any physical therapy for that?
No, no. I mean, of course, like I do yoga every morning after my breath work. And I like during like yoga
You're a
when you
machine.
it really doesn't take that long. But yeah, so doing the yoga actually helped me a lot because when you're doing like certain positions, you're kind of like pushing your fingers on the mat and then like pushing your body away and stuff, and it really like stretches all of those tendons out. And it was so stiff at first, and but now it's like almost as flexible as my left hand again. So I feel like maybe like another few more weeks and it'll be totally normal.
When you're throwing, does it cause you any pain?
No, so I have a that bow net, and I've been throwing into it last few days, and not like super hard, but I've had no pain or anything. I mean, the hand, like the next morning when I'm doing the stretching, like I'll feel like it's a little tighter, and I have to kind of like work it out, but
Mm.
I don't have any problems. So I'm really happy.
That is awesome because that's your throwing
Yeah.
hand too.
Yeah.
That's your
Yeah.
money maker.
Exactly. I know. It was really hard, especially the day. Okay, so one of the risks with the surgery is if they cut too, they don't like have scissors to cut the tube. They use a scalpel.
Okay.
So if he cuts too deep and then ruptures my tendon, then I'm totally ruined,
Man.
you know. And there's really not a way for me to know because I mean I cannot feel it at all because they put so much like numbing stuff in there because I was awake during the surgery, so it was
Jeez. Did you
it was
wash it?
cheaper. No, no, heck no, I did my box breathing the whole time. I was like, whew. But
Did you opt not
yeah,
to go to sleep?
you could go to sleep if you want, but it's a lot more expensive. So
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
So a couple of years ago in 2017, I was in a significant truck accident and I jacked my hand up. I don't know if when I was doing this, if you could tell, but you see what's going on there. This is
Is
what I
it the
use.
middle finger?
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
scare children with.
Oh
Um,
my gosh.
this is not my moneymaker, but it is my throwing hand. And
Oh,
man, I'm not as good of a thrower as I used to be. Let's put it that way, because
oh
there's a
wow.
lot of drag that gets caused with that thing.
Right.
But I'm learning, I'm adapting and overcoming. So what happened with me was, well, we don't know, and it in the truck either it got caught in the steering wheel or something. But this bone between the knuckle, the first two knuckles, just obliterated, and they ended up putting a plate and 9 screws in between that. So just between in this area right here, I have a plate and 9 screws. It's insane.
Wow.
And I mean, so much physical therapy. And when I started going out there and just throwing, I started with you just basically 3, 4, 5 foot putts, and it was so painful. And I had obviously with the plate and the screws, it was surgery too, physical therapy. And then, I mean, it just took me forever to be able to try and throw again. And I'm still like really learning. I mean, this is 4 years later. So I've been playing
Yeah.
since the mid 90s ish, off and
Oh
on.
wow.
And my throw was not perfected and by any means, but I was throwing a lot farther before I ended up getting that ended up happening. So when you started talking about your finger being all jacked up and surgery,
Yeah.
I was,
You
you know,
know.
yeah, that kind of empathy kind of trigger in me. I'm like,
Yeah.
man, and I don't make money. I make money off of writing about disc golf. I don't make money off of playing it. Thank God. So tell me about Finland.
Yeah, I mean, Finland is an amazing country.
How'd you end
It's the
up
most
there?
so my first event as a pro, when I jumped from am to pro, I met a pro player over there who was a Finnish guy, and we just like totally hit it off, Seppo Paju.
Oh,
And
nice. Yeah.
yeah, and so we were like, okay, one of us has to move, and it was just easier for me to move to Finland because him and his brother own and operate Prodigy Disc Europe.
Okay.
So yeah, he couldn't really leave, so I chose to move to Finland. And yeah, it's a beautiful country. It's the most wooded country in Europe. So basically all of their courses are just carved out of the woods, and the woods are all like birch and pine. So it's really beautiful. And the whole forest floor is like lingonberries and blueberries and strawberries and mushrooms. And it's just amazing. But
Yeah, I talked to Robin Vielman. Are you familiar with him?
he's Swedish. Mhm.
Yes, yes. I talked to him on number 4, podcast number 4, or anything, or I believe, and we talked a
Yeah.
lot about Finnish courses and Swedish courses, and we were
Oh,
saying
Swedish courses are the
exactly the same
best
thing.
because they have the best course designers.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
they're beautiful. All of those courses over
Oh
there,
yeah.
at least the ones I've
Yeah.
seen on the YouTubes.
Oh yeah, they really are. I think so the only downside about the Finnish courses is um they're it's like a very flat country. It doesn't You don't really have mountains until you get like super up north, like the Arctic Circle, Lapland. But so a lot of the places can be pretty swampy, not like totally underwater, but pretty wet. So
Sounds like Virginia.
yeah, right.
All of our courses are carved out of the woods and everything's swamp, all the at
Yeah,
least on the
yeah,
East Coast.
yeah. But I mean, uh, it's so much different than out here because, like, if I had like a bunch of small kids who were like under the age of 10 or something and wanted me to drop them off to go play disc golf in Finland, I would have no problem doing it. I would totally drop like my 8-year-old kid off to go play around with his buddies or whatever and feel totally fine. But here you can't do that.
Why is that? What's the
I
difference?
feel so the people, like, the scene is much different over there. Over there, it's like a sport. Like, people are dressed in athletic clothes, they take it seriously, and yeah. But out here, I feel like it's more of a recreational. sport. So people kind of go out with their friends and it's like a adult atmosphere.
We had this, Robin and I had the exact same conversation, and we talked a little bit about I hate to call it this because obviously the history of disc golf came from the United States, and it was
Yeah.
generated from the hippie movement. And of course, all of us who play and love this sport are so appreciative to those beginnings. But as a result, there were some stigmas that the United States had to and are still getting over. Whereas, boom, Finland, Sweden, Europe, it's like this is a sport. It didn't have
Yeah.
those same kind of hurdles to
Yeah.
overcome or stigmas.
Yeah. But I mean, at the same time, disc golf in America is uh, what is I don't want to sound insulting. I don't mean it insulting, so that's fine. But it's just eons ahead of where it is in Europe
Okay.
because people out here can actually make a living playing disc golf.
This is
And
so funny. This is like a very similar conversation. You need to go back. If you haven't listened to that podcast,
uh
it's so funny. We're reliving a little bit of it. And I love it because it's coming from a completely different person.
well, I know Robin. He used to be on Prodigy Europe, so we were teammates out there, and I seen him a lot, or I used to when I lived in Europe. But yeah, it's just you already know. It's just so different. You can make a living out here. You can play professionally. It could be your full time job in Europe. The payouts are just so minuscule. Like
Oh,
yeah, and yeah, taxes are very high too.
oh wow. Wow. That's to pay for that healthcare and stuff, huh?
Oh my God, I would do it in a heartbeat. It's so funny. I used to think completely differently until I moved over there. And I'm like, oh my God, it's actually cheaper for them because out here, like, you have to pay for your education, you have to pay for your health insurance, you have to pay for all this stuff. And it ends up being more like here when you have to pay for it yourself rather than just paying a little bit more taxes.
Right on.
Like, you have to pay for it anyways. I mean, it's crazy, but people are kind of stuck in their ways, you know?
Yeah, yeah. So let me ask you, you were on your Instagram, you were saying a little bit earlier this year that you were trying a new putting style out, and to me it looked like you were trying to turbo putt. What's your new putting style?
Oh, so, oh yeah, I was like trying to think, I was thinking, you probably just saw the picture of the disc in the basket.
Well, you were like this. I want to say you had your hand up over your head like a pie plate, and the disc was already in the air. And I was like, is she turbo putting? Is that going to be your main style now?
Oh yeah, I wish that would be cool. No, it's not a turbo putt. I don't know. I don't remember the picture or my hand being up there, but it's basically like, okay, so I used to have an amazing putt, and since my finger injury and everything and not being able to practice and all this stuff, when I like try and putt when I tried to putt in tournaments last couple seasons, it's been really off. And I've always felt really crappy about it. And the only thing that's kind of pulled me through is my pre-shot routine. And I've been wanting to change it, but haven't really had an opportunity to really set aside like a good solid amount of time just to like get the reps in, bang it out because of my finger. So right now I'm working on since my finger is better and everything. I decided to go ahead and fix my putt, and basically it's I guess the problem I had before is when I would like pull it down, for some reason I would like kind of lead with my elbow,
Okay.
and the disc would get off center, and then it would either go like not even make it to the basket and like miss left, or I'd yank it to try and overcompensate, miss right. And so I've just really been focusing on keeping it in the center all the time.
So you're more of a spin putter then?
100% spin putter. I've tried
100%.
to push putt. I think push putting is very useful inside the circle. I just happen to be terrible at it. So I'm just all spin putt.
Well, but that's a very good. something I haven't thought about, the body mechanics of making sure that elbow stays kind of tucked and doesn't come out, because then it kind of forces you to round your putt
Yeah, I mean, and it's
or
like
change the angle.
when you're playing an event, you're not thinking about form at all, because that's what you do during practice. And then when you're like executing shots, you're not like, I'm going to do this. And that, you're just kind of letting it happen. So I tried not to focus on it too much during tournament play. But now that I have some time in the off season to fix it, I'm working on that.
Fantastic. So you've mentioned Prodigy a couple times. You're with Prodigy, but you're with Discraft now,
Yeah.
and you have a number of other sponsors. Would you like to talk about them?
So this year, actually, yeah. So this year I'm still with Discraft, back on the Elite team. And I added a bunch. I'm sponsored by Goat Towel. So interesting thing about that is last year Goat Towel sent me, like, they just like found me on Instagram and were like, hey, you want to try out one of our towels? I was like, yeah, sure. And they sent me one, and I remember I got it in the mail. It's like this big nice towel, and I was like, like, felt kind of weird. I was like, I don't know how this is going to work, but I ended up using it during the season, and I used it during an event when it was raining, and it was amazing. And I used it for the rest of the season. It was like my favorite towel. And this year I was like, I really want more of those. And I looked online, and they're like $20 a piece. And I was like, oh my God, like I really don't want to like buy a
Do
bunch
they
of.
know who I am?
No, right. And so I sent them an email and was like, hey, like, I'm really interested. I love your product. I can, I just asked for them to sponsor me, or if they'd be interested. And they were like, yeah, and so they just sent me a bunch of towels, and I'm all set with the towels. I'm so happy, because it's really nice to like be sponsored by people that you, or by a company, and you genuinely like their product.
What is it about their towels that
I don't
puts them
know.
above the
It's just
rest?
they're really big, and one side is like it's like quilted, or I don't know what you'd call it. It's like has like a bunch of little squares. I don't know what
Okay.
the term is for that. So it's like, even though it's really thin, it's super absorbent. And then the other side is like silky smooth. So like I don't know. I would just have to send you one, and then you could probably articulate it better than I could. But yeah, I'll have to send you one so you know what I'm talking about. And I swear, like, at first you're gonna be like, whatever. But once you use it, you're gonna love it.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
will accept.
Heck yeah.
So you've
And
got goat towels.
mhm. Upper Park bags.
Mhm.
So I've never had a bag sponsor before that. I've only used like grip bags and Prodigy bags. The grip bags are really great. Uh, and I had heard a lot of Upper Park, but I was really interested in the product, and I just got my first bag. It was the Pinch, and the way that they kind of design their bags, the discs sit like vertically.
Mhm.
And so I guess I would assume, because of the way they're distributed, it's a lot lighter weight, even though you're
Gotcha.
carrying, yeah, rather than just having them all at the bottom, like in the grip bag. I mean, the grip bag is great, but I feel like it gets really heavy all on the lower back, and kind of like pulls your back. So I'm super excited to go with Upper Park this year. I feel like it's going to really help my back out this year on tour.
Right. Barsby's actually sponsored by them too, and he was talking about him
Yeah.
on the last podcast when he was on here, and just praising how light it feels on your back.
Yeah.
It's like nothing.
I
Cool.
know.
Upper Park.
Yeah, it's funny. They sent me my first bag, and I'm getting a lot more. And I was like, I'm gonna like do a review on this bag and then do a giveaway. And it was so funny. I like loaded it up and I tried it out, and I ended up liking it so much. I was like, I can't give this away. I just
Yeah.
kept it.
I know what that's like. I mean,
Yeah.
no, I don't.
Right. But oh yeah, one of my new ones I'm super excited about is Birdie Fuel Coffee.
Mhm.
I am a coffee fiend. Like, I love coffee, and I have to have it every day. I've tried to quit, can't stop, won't stop.
Me too,
And
except for I haven't tried to quit.
yeah, why? I mean, why not? But they sent me, like, I reached out to them, and because I was really interested, I saw that they were sponsoring players, and they sent me like a sample pack with like I told them like the types of coffees that I like, and they sent me like all the ones that they had that were similar. And I picked out my favorite one. It's a medium Colombian roast, and I like
Nice.
it because it's like sweet enough to where you can still like get all those sweet notes from the coffee berry, but it's roasted enough to where you still get those like darker like roasted flavors from like almost like a dark roast, but you know, medium roast, perfect in the middle, the Goldilocks of the coffees. So, and it doesn't have any acidity, so I mean, I just drink it black.
Right on. And they may or may not be coming on the podcast within the next month or two.
Ah, that's awesome.
So we hopefully will be able to learn more about their processing and how they make their coffee.
Yeah. So
I don't ever like to announce things because sometimes things fall through, but we've scheduled.
Yeah, so the one that I picked, I named it The Grind because I feel like I'm always grinding on tour. And then I felt like it was really fitting because you're always like grinding coffee before you brew it. So it's like, that's perfect.
I love it.
Yeah.
I caught on to the first part, you know, that she's grinding, you know, whatever. But yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. And then, gosh, I know that there's more. I can't even think about it. Who else is there?
Mitten bags, maybe?
Oh yes, you're great. Mitten bags. So I mean
research.
that is thank you. That's such a useful sponsor. Okay, so I've always loved like whale sacks and all types of like chalk bags and stuff because they're really cute. They have different patterns and whatnot. But mitten bags was really cool because I just moved to Michigan like a year and a half ago, and their bag is in the shape of Michigan, which they call the mitten because it looks like a mitten. So it's really cute. And yeah, they reached out to me, and actually they usually do all of their bags with like clay based like little balls, but I like chalk. So she like they're gonna start like playing around with chalk, and they made me bags full with chalk, so I'm super excited with mitten bags. And then I have one more sponsor, but I'm not gonna announce it until February 24th.
Okay, perfect. But you got some tour series discs coming out.
Yes, I do. So yeah, so the ones that came out 2020 are all sold out. You can probably find them somewhere like Disc Baron or OTB or something like that. Just like some random disc golf shops, I'm sure online still have some, but they're sold out and I don't have any. But this year, 2021 tour series, they're doing a like new blend of plastic. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to, I don't think I'm allowed to say what it is yet because they haven't announced it, but they're going to be really sweet. And I know that they're going to, like, knowing the blend of plastic, it's going to make all the molds that people pick for their tour series are going to fly like a little bit more overstable than normally. So that's really exciting because my mid-range or my tour series is a meteor. So it's an understable mid. So I feel like anytime you like can get an understable mold and the plastic that'll make it more stable, it's a more dependable, like long-term disc.
Science.
Yeah.
I love it. Cool. So what's next for you, Vanessa?
So right now I'm really looking forward to starting the tour in Waco, Texas, because we're going to finally get out of the snow and the cold. But I mean, I'm really not sure about that though. I've been checking on the weather forecast in Waco, like just to give myself something to look forward to. And it actually looks really cold over there. I think they have a couple days that are in the 30s and some snow and stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh, please warm up in the next month for me. But yeah.
You got to be over the cold. You're wearing your mitten cap inside.
I know. Okay, so my boyfriend likes to keep the thermostat really low. So we're like, he'll like keep it at like 65 or something. I'm just like, oh my God, I can never get away from the cold.
Are we talking about Reed? Is that who we're talking about? Okay.
Yeah.
She kept saying your boyfriend. I didn't know if it was a secret or not.
No, it's not a secret. I'm just like talking. I always forget like what people know or don't know. I forget to like spell it out. But yeah, the water skip guy.
Awesome. Well, Vanessa, it was so super cool to talk to you, and what a great podcast.
Thanks for having me.